Hi, hello. We're back making teams and new generations out. Let's just not waste any more time. Go straight in. Best mono you right now is Great Tusk. No contest. Lefties, longevity, for sure. Terra Steel for simple defensive reasons. There's gonna be a lot of Terra Steel. Hazard control is very important, so rapid spin. Knockoff, can't go wrong with knockoff. Earthquake for stab, rocks. Once again, hazard control is very, very important in OU right now. Max attack, and basically, yeah, just suggested set. I like to nickname my Paradox Pokemon because the Paradox Pokemon are just words. I call them my Great Tusk Donphan. Good coverage for two of Donphan's weaknesses, Psychic, and so then we just simply click Goldingo, and now we have even more hazard control because it blocks the fog. Scarf Goldingo is what I think is most optimal right now. You'll find out why that is in a second. Make It Rain is a ridiculous move. Shadow Ball for good reliable go stab, recover. Wait a minute, Scarf recover? That seems off, doesn't it? We just have Trick, so that we can give defensive Pokemon that Scarf, which really cripples them, and then when we need it, we have the speed to make some really fast Make It Rains or some really fast Shadow Balls. A type that we still haven't covered yet is Ghost. We need to consider Goldingo's Ghost weakness. It's also its ground weakness. So Chenpao. Chenpao is easily one of the most offensive threats right now. We simply banned it because it's busted. Like Sword of Ruin halves the opponent, or not halves, but it drops a fourth of the opponent's defense, so it becomes even more powerful. Crunch, Sacred Sword, Ice Shard in case you get outsped. And if you don't, then not sure cold. Then you go for Ice Spinner. And once again, these suggested EVs have gotten a lot better since we've last discussed teams to be created. Another really strong. The Goldingo and Chenpao are both weak to fire. We do already have fire coverage with Great Tusk, but just in case, we also want to add Rotom Wash, because Rotom Wash is really, really good right now. Terra Ice is actually what I like to do with Rotom Wash, just to, there's no really particular reason. I don't really Terra Rotom Wash anyhow, but leftovers, as any moderately defensive Pokemon runs. Obviously every Rotom has Hydro Pump, Volt Switch for easy switches, Wisp to cripple those physical attackers, and Protect for scouting. And we're actually going to switch the EVs for this one. Max HP and defense, the remaining bit in special defense, and we are going to go with a bold nature. Alright, one of the most defensive Pokemon that is in the game right now, and is now really starting to get attention, is Garganacl. Like, this Pokemon is insanely defensive, and Purifying Salt prevents pretty much any of the statuses, and it reduces ghost damage, which is really, really good against opposing Goldingos. Garganacl obviously Salt Cure, which is passive damage and is extra effective against steel and water types, so opposing Goldingos, opposing Rotom Washes. Salt Cure is not going to be very nice to them, and it's going to stay alive, recover, protect, and then of course just rocks in case Tusk does not get those rocks up as reliably. We do want to boost that special defense though, so it's able to tank both types of attacks, just a little bit extra. In defense, we're going to go with Careful. Now we really need like Goldingo could be considered a special sweeper, but we need like a true special sweeper, not necessarily just used for hazard control, and that's going to be Volcarona. Volcarona is super duper good right now, and that makes me very happy because Volcarona is such a cool Pokemon. Of course, it still has to always run Boots, or else it's just going to die. We Quiver Dance, Morning Sun for healing, Flamethrower for stronger damage, and Fire Dance for either boosts or just getting that last hit. This means you have a lot of fire moves, so you're not going to be running out. I'm going to take this, yeah, Modest. Good. This team pretty much covers everything that is a threat right now in OU. Opposing Tusks can be covered by Chien-Pao and Rotom. Opposing Goldengos, Tusk. Glamora is covered by Tusk. Opposing Chien-Paos, you can have a Chien-Pao 1v1 with Sacred Sword, but there's also Volcarona to take care of opposing Chien-Paos. There's Garganacl takes care of opposing Chien-Pao. You might see a bunch of Corviknights, which is also a Volcarona job. Clodsire, if it's not Water Absorb, Rotom Wash is here, but if it is Water Absorb, then you have Tusk. Dragonite, destroyed by Chien-Pao. King Gambit is also... King Gambit, you can have like a really risky play with Chien-Pao, but if that goes wrong, there's always Salt Cure, Stall, or Volcarona. Valiant gets destroyed by Goldengo. Ting Lu gets destroyed by Chien-Pao and Rotom. And opposing Rotom Washes can really be destroyed by Garganacl. Garganacl and Rotom Wash kind of almost counter each other. It's really weird of how that interaction usually works. And then opposing Garganacls get destroyed by Goldengo, and then opposing Volcaronas get destroyed by Rotom Wash. Alright, that's it for standard standard OU play, and we're gonna move on to the legendary tier of Ubers. And personally, I think that Miraidon is better right now, even though, spoiler alert, we're gonna end up using both because both the legendaries are pretty much required for an Uber's team. Electrodrift is absolutely insane. Draco Meteor and Overheat for Draco Meteor for stab, Overheat for additional coverage, as well as Gleam, just to like have a more reliable way to hit opposing dragons, which is mostly the two box arts, without lowering your special attack. So if you want just to finish off an opposing box art, then you definitely just click Gleam as opposed to Draco Meteor. And then here's the other one, Koraidon. And Koraidon's always Terrifier. If you're not running Terrifier Koraidon, you're actually throwing, because you need that sun, take the most advantage out of that sun. And we're gonna Scarf it because that'll make it blazing fast. There's the Fire Stab you'll need for Terra. And without Terra, you have Dragon Claw. You turn to get out. Collision Course is still very, very good on Koraidon. Yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. Special Sweeper, Physical Sweeper. Another very, very good Special Sweeper is Fluttermane. This Pokemon is ridiculous. There's a reason it got banned day 2 of OU. This Pokemon is busted. Like, these stats are absolute bananas. Moonblast and Shadow Ball for obvious stab. Mystical Fire for very obvious coverage, as well as weakening special attackers if you really find that important. Psyshock to really take care of those, because like it's a special mon, so like Psyshock gets rid of those that are very specially defensive but not really physically defensive, so then Flutter can still find a way to destroy them. And by the way, I usually nickname my Flutter's Misdactylus. By the way, this is all MNJTV's names, not mine, because he's just a more creative guy than I am. More Paradox Pokemon, we need Iron Shreds, because Iron Shreds is actually a lot better alongside an Electric Terrain user, since the only one that is really available in OU is Pincurchin, and Pincurchin is a garbage Pokemon. So we just simply go with EQ, more hazard control, and knock off Iron Head. By the way, we're not using booster energy on any of these Paradox Pokemon because we have the box art legendaries. There's not really a reason to have booster energy. I mean, yeah, you could send out Flutter in after a Miraidon and not have to send in Koraidon, but I feel like it's silly, and I don't think there's a real... It's not as useful with it. It's more useful with a different item than booster energy. We're gonna add Great Tusk to this team as well, because both Donphan forms are still crazy good in Ubers, and Tusk is just such a good Pokemon. It's crazy of how they managed to make another Pokemon so similar to Lando T and have it basically like if they just make a dominant versatile ground type, then it's going to become one of the best things in the meta. And that's exactly what they did with Great Tusk. Although we're going to EV it differently this time. We're going to go a more defensive Tusk. We're not going bold. We're going to go Impish. And then finally we just need a much more defensive Mon, since nothing really screams wall out of the 5 we have here, and so we're going to have to add a Corviknight. As much as people hate playing against a Corviknight, it's unfortunately really, really good in Ubers right now. So it's gonna do exactly what you expect a Corviknight to do. It's gonna roost, it's gonna defog, it's gonna U-turn out, and then in case it needs to hit the opponent, it just goes for Iron Head. I want to specially invest this one though, because I do think Miraidon is a little bit more of a threat right now, even though you're not going to send this thing in on Miraidon ever. But I think it's just more important. We kind of don't need speed on Corviknight right now, so I think we'll go Sassy. Yeah, this really covers pretty much everything you need. Both Miraidon and Flutter really cover opposing Koraidons. Flutter really beats itself, and so it's going to be kind of a gamble. But if not, you have the two mostly Iron Treads that really also beats Flutter. Iron Bundle is a bit of a threat as well, and Flutter really takes care of it with Mystical Fire. If not, you have Terra Fire Koraidon, which really take under the sun. Iron Bundle doesn't really become a threat, and opposing Tusks really get absolutely destroyed by Miraidon if they're caught off guard with Gleam. But if they aren't, they're expecting it, then opposing Tusks are actually gonna. Then you just have to use Flutter. And Valiant is a little bit of a threat in Ubers as well, which is why Corv actually is a very good wall to Valiant and really just takes care of it. You also might see the occasional Grafaiai due to like how Prankster is really important in Ubers as well. But Grafaiai really gets obliterated by Koraidon. Just watch out for Copycat in case any Grafaiai runs it. And then as for opposing Corvs, you have Mystical Fire, Flutter if all else fails, but then you also have, once again, Terra Fire Koraidon. UU, which is actually a really fun team right now, because last month I was playing Stall in UU, and that was not really fun to experience at all. But now it's much more offensive meta because people have figured out how to play without Hydreigon. Tinkaton is still the best Pokemon in the tier. And with that, you can't have a Tinkaton without Gigaton Hammer. Once again, Knockoff is just a great move to have, and you want to boost up this Tinkaton because this attack stat is pathetic. Gigaton Hammer, this is like the counterbalancing to Gigaton Hammer, I suppose. Yep, Jolly works well. To go along with Tinkaton, we're gonna pick Gengar. Gengar is once again good. Like, Gengar's never had trouble finding its way in the middle tiers. Stab, obviously. Focus Blast. This is important, coming with our next team member. And then we're once going to do the Scarf trick, in case we want to take care of those opposing defensive Pokemon. Scarf trick is one of the best ways to destroy opposing defensive Pokemon. Focus Blast is most useful for Tyranitar, and we're going to utilize Tyranitar as well, because the fact that Tyranitar in UU is insane right now. Like, T-Tar has been in OU in Gens 2 through 8, and has finally made the drop, and I think for the first time it's actually going to stay in UU, which is absolutely bonkers to me. But we're going to EV this one a little bit weird. 132 HP, 168. I want it boosting nature, and I don't exactly remember adamant. Yep, of course. And then we'll put the rest in speed, just to be a wee bit faster than our opposing Tyranitars that don't invest any speed. Serena is also very, very good in UU at the moment, and Boots, because we don't need passive damage on Miss Queenly Majesty, and because Hazard Control, nope, that's not what I meant to do. Hazard Control is the most important U-turn out, because the way out is very easy. Power Whip for stab, Synthesis for healing. Seems pretty straightforward, right? We want max HP. But we're gonna EV this one a little bit weird once again. 200 speed, because it's not. I don't think I need that much speed. And then we're gonna have special defense boosting for the rest of the EVs. We don't need special attack, so. Talonflame. Talonflame has been a threat in UU pretty much since its establishment, and has stayed up in UU after the creation of RU and now the creation of NU. By the way, we're not going to be making an NU team since it's too new. I don't really know much about the NU tier at the moment, but in the next month I will have an NU team ready. And yeah, the Talonflame set is not that difficult. It's like Roost into Fog, which you have on most flying types at this point. Wisp to really take care of those physical attackers, looking at Tinkaton, Tyranitar, switching in Serena. As far as EVs go, yeah, I think that looks good. Gastrodon. Gastrodon's also very, very cool. And like, water ground types are just really, really good. I was using Quagsire last month, but like I said, I don't want to play Stall in UU right now, and I think Stall is not as good as it was. It was really good as soon as Hydreigon left, but then people found the other offensive powerhouses in UU and realized that, oh wait, Stall still isn't good. And I'm gonna say that the suggested EVs are once again the best. Yeah, this team really covers a lot of the big threats. Like, Serena takes care of Azumarill, Mimikyu gets destroyed by Gengar and Tinkaton. Grafaiai is once again in this tier. Gastrodon really takes care of it. Armor Rouge, Tyranitar absolutely obliterates. Iron Jugulus is destroyed by Tinkaton. Well, not this Tinkaton in particular, but Tyranitar for sure destroys Iron Jugulus. Opposing Tinkatons get destroyed by Gastro. Opposing Talonflames get destroyed by T-Tar. Opposing Quagsires get destroyed by Serena. Blissey, even though Blissey's in RU, it's still a bit of a threat. You have so many physical attackers. Like Tinkaton, T-Tar, Serena, and Talonflame are like 4 out of 6 of our Pokemon are physical attackers. I do say that over Focus Blast, because really, Blissey is weak to physical attacks and not the fighting type. Alomomola gets destroyed by Serena. If you do see a Primeape, which Primeape has found its spot in RU, but if you do see a Primeape up in UU, then you know you're able to destroy it with Talonflame. And as for opposing Gengars, once again, Gengar, it's like a 1v1. Scarf Gengar will pretty much ensure a victory, or unless you get unlucky against an opposing Scarf Gengar. But if not, you have T-Tar. T-Tar also really just destroys Gengar. And then on that same side, unless the Gengar is carrying Focus Blast, which Focus Blast destroys T-Tar. Opposing Serenas get destroyed by Talonflame, and Gastro gets destroyed by Serena as well. Alright, are you ready to see this team? Sorry, that was terrible, but the best Pokemon right now is Espeon. Like, Espeon is, I don't know, Espeon just really is a solid Pokemon. It has really good physical, it has really good special attack, and really good speed. So we're gonna make it a special sweeper. Specs, Gleam. We're gonna want to run Psychic as well, and really just go for as much coverage. We want to be able to hit both physical and especially defensive Pokemon. And yeah, so solid EVs. So really, Espeon is the central offensive threat in RU as of right now. But Toxtricity really covers anything that Espeon lacks. It's actually gonna be our first Terra Normal Pokemon, which you'll find out very fast. Like Throat Spray Toxtricity is so powerful, especially Terra Normal Boom Burst, crazy strong. And if you don't feel like Terra, you still have Overdrive, Volt Switch to get out, and Shift Gear, just mainly for the benefit of boosting speed. And I don't like the EV set that they gave us, so we're gonna go with a standard special sweeper kind of set. One of our first new Pokemon in the lower tiers is Flamigo, if I can spell Flamigo, because Flamigo mostly has gotten like fame from doubles and co-star, but its singles, Scrappy, is very, very useful as close combat, and we'll be able to hit opposing ghost types, Brave Bird, U-Turn, and Throat Chop. Throat Chop is very, very helpful for this guy right here. So just keep that in mind if you ever face a Flamigo as Toxtricity, being like, oh, I'm using my electric attacks. You might be able to kill it, but it might prevent you from boom bursting, which is really devastating for something like Toxtricity. I do like the EV set that was given. So now Slowbro. Slowbro has taken a fall since it has lost Teleport, and Teleport was really, really what made Slowbro so good in Sword and Shield. But now you just have to do what Slowbro did pre-Gen 8, which is Future Sight T-Wave, since that's really all Slowbro did pre-Gen 8. And yeah, I agree that this is the EV set to run. Moving on to Crook. Crook is still really good. We're actually going to go with a Moxie Crook this time though. And Terra Poison, since no one's going to think about using Psychic moves against the Dark type. And then you have the simple stabs. Earthquake's good, Crunch is good. Close combat for coverage, Stone Edge. And then just classic physical sweeper things. And then finally, we have Water Paldean, not Water Paldean Tauros, that's a new Fire Paldean Tauros, which I believe should benefit from Terra Fire to make that Raging Bull even more powerful. And then of course Close Combat for its Fighting Stab, Bulk Up to really boost and sweep, and EQ, as there's not a lot of Pokemon that are physical attackers that don't benefit from EQ. Yeah, that is RU for ya. Against opposing Espeon, you can really take care of it with Crook. Opposing Toxtricity, Flamigo's Throat Chop is an idea, but if you really want to like true beat it, then yeah, you also use Crook there. Be careful with Toxtricity against Flamigo, once again for Throat Chop. If you don't want to risk it, then there's not really another real option to beat Flamigo other than Toxtricity. So just like be aware that you likely won't be able to Boom Burst after you attack it. And Toxtricity is also really good for Slowbro. And on the other hand, Slowbro is really good for Crook, as well as Tauros. Just be careful about Earthquake, and use Earthquake to your advantage against opposing Tauros with Crook. But if you want to be safer, then Slowbro obviously destroys Haldane Tauros. Alright, time to talk about little itty bitty Pokemon. The recent Girafarig ban has swifted the meta quite a bit. So Pawniard is now back on top as the biggest threat of Little Cup. You still want a Brick Break to be able to take care of opposing Pawniard. And then the rest is simply for Stab. If you think your opponent's going to use a status move, then that's what Night Slash is for. We're going to put 156 in attack, 36 Nature Drop, and then 116, 156 with Nature Boost. Toadscool has also established itself as a very good Little Cup Pokemon. And pretty much everything we're running is going to have EVI except for our last member, which I will talk about once we get there. We all know how important Knockoff and Rapid Spin are. Earth Power for Stab, and Spore because everybody hates Sleep. As for its EVs, we're pretty much just going to do something weird because, well, I don't know if I want to do a weird EV spread with Toadscool. I have in the past, but now you know what, we're going to do it. 196 HP, 36 attack, 116 defense, 36 in special attack, 36 in special defense, and 36 in speed. And we're going to keep that serious nature with the little bits of boosts everywhere. I think that makes a very interesting Toadscool. Now, most people will not be expecting. For a more defensive Pokemon, we need Marini, and trust me, it's not as toxic as Toxapex. Marini is nowhere near that level. Especially with the Recover nerf in Generation 9. Thank God for that. We still want Stab Surf, even if you don't think that it is as offensive Pokemon, as well as Ice Beam, really to make Toadschools really scared. That, like, because Toadscool isn't, like, Toadscool's gonna try to hit you, but, like, if you Ice Beam it, then it's very dead. I don't like the suggested EVs in Little Cup. It just doesn't appeal to me. We're gonna put a 180 in defense. Hold on, we're gonna go bold. 12 and then 180. Perfect. And then we're going to want to go with Diglett, because Diglett is the arena trapper. And once you are trapped with Diglett, there is no escape, and either you go out or it goes out. So to make sure that you go out, or to make sure that they go out and not you, Rock Blast, as you can see, Terra rocked, so Rock Blast is just in case for that. Or opposing flying types, really. And then Substitute if you want to, if you think that your opponent is going to try to set up. And then you're gonna EV in speed. I'm gonna just go Jolly. I think Jolly is the easiest EV set. The starter Quaxly. Quaxly is actually really good in Little Cup. It's crazy because Moxie is so strong, and especially on, like, in combination with Rapid Spin. Normally it's Aqua Step on, like, a Quavel, but you gotta settle for Rapid Spin with Quaxly. Roost for healing, and then Brave Bird for really strong coverage. We're gonna invest a little bit, mostly in defense, so it's able to take hits, and we don't need that special attack for anything. And we'll put the rest that matter in speed. Most of the EVs are weird in Little Cup because these 44 EVs don't effectively do anything at a Pokemon that's level 5. Final Pokemon is going to be Glimmet. Baby Glimmora is very, very strong for having control. But we're going to give it Focus Sash because I don't think it'll really take hits very well anyways. Power Jumper Stab, there's the rocks that we want. Mud Shot to slow down your opponents, it's good on defensive Pokemon. And then Sludge Bomb if you really want the poison coverage, which is really, really good for opposing Toadschool. We're gonna go with a 236 special attack, 36 special defense, and a 196 nature boosted speed. I think that's Jolly. No, it's Timid. My bad. Sometimes I mix up my natures. Yeah. Some real threats to be, like, Diglett destroys Pawniard unless it's Terra Flying, and then you just Terra Rock Blast. Just be careful of the possibility. Glimmet also gets destroyed by Diglett. Opposing Toadschool, you really just have to be careful. You could Ice Beam Marini, but just be careful of Earth Power, and otherwise Toadschool is just a really tough Pokemon to take care of. You do also have Glimmet. Like, when fighting opposing Toadschools, it's really a risk reward. Marini and Glimmet also can get beaten by Toadschool. You just have to really play around your opponent correctly. You might also see several Impidimp, in which Pawniard really takes care of so easily. Same with opposing Citadel, Marini, Diglett is a toss-up, Toadschool is a toss-up. Marini is also tricky to take care of, and Glimmet is also, like, Marini battles are pretty much a toss-up in both ways. Toadschool, Diglett, Glimmet all really take care of it well. Mankey might be a scary threat as well, in which case you do have access to Brave Bird from Quaxley. That takes care of Mankey so easily. Voltorb gets beaten by Diglett. Nimble is sometimes a threat with, like, the first impression. You have Glimmet for that. Glimmet's Power Gem destroys Nimble. Opposing Digletts get beaten by Marie toss-up once again, and then Quaxley destroys Diglett as well. And then for opposing Quaxley, you don't have a direct solution, but honestly, I think just a combination of your other Pokemon really can take care of opposing Quaxley. Alright, Monotype. Monotype, we are going to be going with, like, Ghost and Ground are clearly the two best types right now. And we're going to go with Ground and go with Tinglu. Tinglu with leftovers. We're not going to mess with Terra-type since there's no Terra-type allowed in Monotype. And we're gonna do a Hazard Setter for our Tinglu, and then as well as Ruination. And then we're gonna go max HP in defense and a wee bit in special attack, even though Ruination literally does not. Oops, not special. Yeah, special attack. Even though Ruination does not use that special attack. And then we're gonna go with a plus defense minus attack. So that'd be bold. Alright, and then we're also gonna go with a Clodsire, because Clodsire, like, it's peak Pokemon design, first of all. And then, second of all, it's so good specially defensive. And we're actually gonna go Water Absorb, because Water Absorb is, like, if people have water moves, they're gonna send it in on a mono ground team. And so the Water Absorb is more important in Monotype. So, and then we also want Toxic Spikes and Toxic, since really unless it's mono steel or mono poison, then this could be extremely crippling for the opponent. I do like this EV spread. We're gonna want Iron Shreds once again. Tron fan. because it's such a cool name. Lefties, like for every other reason, longevity is important. Stab, hazard control, more stab, and protect, because your opponent's going to get poisoned. So protect is going to have a much more valid placement in this. We're going to go with a max HP, max special defense, and a little bit in defense. Nature? I'm actually a little bit unsure. Dude, maybe I want a neutral nature. I don't know, sorry, I'm looking. In case you don't know, I have notes for. I already have pre-built these teams. I know what to expect, but I feel like I missed my nature. Forgot to. Yeah, I did. It's careful. My bad. Anyways, we're also going to want Tusk, because why? There's no reason not to have Tusk. And we're going to go Scarf Tusk this time, though, with a more offensive set. Headlong Rush, Ice Spinner, and Close Combat. Because offensive Tusk, we already have plenty of defensive Pokemon on this team already. Like I said, Tusk is so good because it's so versatile. And we're going to go Jolly. Let's go with an interesting set. We're actually going to do a special Garchomp, which, like, obviously its special attack is way lower than its physical attack, but people don't expect a special Garchomp, so that's why we're gonna surprise our Monotype opponents by bringing a special Garchomp. Because now, like, it may not look like much, but once you EV it, like, it's still lower than its physical attack. But honestly, it'll still work out. Like, the point is that people don't expect a Garchomp that is this. Okay, sorry. I Terra everything out of habit, even though Terra's not even legal in Monotype. And then our last mon's gonna be Quagsire. But this is gonna be unaware as opposed to Water Absorb, because people aren't gonna use water moves on Quagsire anyways. Just basic Quagsire things: Toxic, Recover, Earthquake, and then Body Press to make use of that. It doesn't seem that high right now, but once you EV it, you Nature Boost it, then yeah, it's a pretty decent 295. And then we'll also have the HP boosted as well. Yeah, this team, really the biggest threats are Mono Ghost and opposing Mono Ground. And so Flutter gets destroyed by Flutter and Mimikyu get destroyed by Iron Shreds. Skeleturge is nowhere to be seen, same with Cerulege. Dragapult honestly will have a fun battle with Garchomp. It might win due to speed, but if you I didn't EV the I didn't give the Garchomp its nature. Whoopsie. There we go. See, now with a minus attack and nature, its special attack's higher. Anyways, and if all else fails, you have Ruination Tinglu. That puts Dragapult in its place as well. Frostlass is a little bit scary, but you still have Iron Treads to really put that in its place as well. Poltegeist gets destroyed by Great Tusk, and Great Tusk also takes care of Dragapult too. I didn't see that as well. Like, Dragapult also gets destroyed by Ice Spinner. So Goldengo, Knockoff, Headlong Rush, like all the ground moves really take care of Goldengo very well. As for opposing ground teams, it's like Ice Spinner, Donphan will be your best friend. Alright, moving on to 1v1. The first Pokemon, the best Pokemon this year is Goldingo. As always. We were going to want to give it a spec set because in 1v1 you just want to make it the highest amount of damage output possible. Make it range, Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, and Gleam for maximum coverage. And then the usual timid EV spread. And next Pokemon is going to be Donphan, because Donphan is very good at counter strategies. Lumberry, so no status. EQ, Ice Shard, counter, like I was saying, and Heavy Slam. Really just more really good damage output. And we are going to go max attack with a nature boost. We don't need special attack, so of course it's going to be adamant. We're going to put 156 in speed and the remaining 100 in HP. And then finally, there's only 3 members in 1v1. You're going to be using Iron Valiant, because Iron Valiant has a unique strategy where, well, boost your energy to activate Cork Drive and activate speed. It's Moonblast for damage, but before you start using Moonblast, you Encore disable them and protect, so you don't have to take that first initial hit. And of course, max attack. Oh no, we're just going with the basic timid EV spread. And I like to call all my Iron Valiants Galgaries. And with this team, you're able to beat opposing Garganacl with Heavy Slam Donphan or Earthquake. This also takes care of opposing Magnezone. Opposing Valiant are destroyed by Donphan. Opposing Donphan are destroyed by my own Donphan. And Belly Bolt is an interesting one. If not, you always, like I said, you always have Donphan. And opposing Goldingo is Donphan, right? So Donphan basically beats everything in the tier. Goldingo and Valiant are there to mostly trip up your opponent, but also very important members of your team in case someone runs not a standard 1v1 Pokemon. Moving on to Anything Goes. Anything Goes is exactly what it sounds like. Anything is able to be used in this tier. But we're going to make an interesting team with this. Koraidon is still in, without a doubt, because you want to play your box art legends. We're going to go with the Scarf Koraidon once again, and go with Flare Blitz for that Terra Fire, Outrage for Dragon Stab, and Collision Course for that Fighting Stab, and then finally U-Turn in order to get out if needed. Yep, basic Jolly EV spread. We're going to go with Miraidon as well, with also Scarf this time. And we're going to go with a Drift, Draco Meteor, Gleam Volt Switch. So pretty much similar ideas to Koraidon. 1 coverage move and 2 stabs and a switching move. And with similar EVs as well. We're actually going to go with Corviknight next, as we're going to want a defensive Pokemon, and Anything Goes is a little bit more important because there's a lot more random jankiness you have to face. And this is going to be a standard Corv with the Roostafog U-Turn, but for its one really offensive move, we're going to go with not Iron Head, we're going to go with Brave Bird this time. And we're going to go with a max HP, max defense. No, I don't agree with this. We're going to go with a minus speed nature, because we don't need that speed. And we'll put the remaining 4 in special defense. So, and then we're going to add another defensive Pokemon, being Clodsire. We're going to go with an unaware Clodsire this time, because it's less important than it is in Monotype. Lefties is all Clodsires run. And then the basic Clodsire set: Recover, Earthquake, and we'll go with Toxic and Toxic Spikes to really trip up your opponents, make it get that poison down, get that chip damage. Everyone loves the chip damage. Yeah, this is the EV set I want to run as well. Next we're gonna go with Skeledirge. I think Skeledirge is actually very, very good in anything goes. We're gonna go with Terra Ghost, not Terrifying, Terra Ghost, in case your opponent tries to go for opposing Earthquakes or, you know, the usual reasons to Terra. Boots, when it still is Fire type. Torch Song, you can't run a Skeledirge without it. Slack Off for healing. Wisp for destroying those physical attackers, and Hex to do even more damage if they're burnt. We're gonna go with a max HP, max defense, bold, and we'll put that remaining 4 in special defense, just to be very, very bulky alongside Unaware. And the final Pokemon we're gonna add to this team is Annihilate, because since Annihilate has slowly been getting banned everywhere, there's not a whole lot of places to play with Rage Fist Annihilate. It's very, very strong. Would absolutely recommend. And we're gonna go with Taunt so we can prevent status, and Bulk Up to make this thing even more powerful and more ridiculous. This thing's also gonna be Terra Ghost. And we're gonna go with max HP and special defense to make this thing this thing has pretty decent defenses. If you like, 279 is nothing to laugh at. And we'll put I don't want it quite that high. We're gonna put it at 220. There we go, 271, very solid. And Will and Nature Boosted as well. With we don't need special attacks, so yeah, 298. Very, very good. We'll put, because we need some more speed. This team is like Miraidon. You bring in either of your either of your box art legendaries. For Koraidon, you do the same thing, especially with Gleam Miraidon. Fluttermane gets destroyed by Fluttermane really gets destroyed by anything physical. So Clodsire, Annihilate. Annihilate needs to be very careful though. And same with Skeledirge. Chen Pao gets destroyed by Skeledirge, just watch out for the dark moves. Tusk gets destroyed by Corv. Dragonite, box arts. Noivern, box arts. Bundle, Skeledirge, just be careful of Hydro Pump. If not, you have Annihilate, which definitely counters Bundle. Opposing Corvs, you have Skeledirge. Opposing Clodsires, you have your own Clodsire. And opposing Skeledirges, you have Claude. And opposing Annihilates, you have Miraidon with Dazzling Gleam. Alright, and now we have Create Any Pokemon, which is sort of a Scarlet and Violet format, but not really. It falls into this category simply by the order in which the formats are listed. The best Pokemon in this here right now is Argonaut. We're gonna go with a Boots because this Pokemon is unaware, and we're gonna make a more defensive knockoff, Recover, Spikes, and Circle Throw to force opponents out. And I like this EV set. I think it's good and it fits Argonaut. And next we have Equilibra, which we're actually gonna go with a bulletproof ability instead, with leftovers. And we need Stab, so Earth Power. Hazard Control with Rapid Spin. Other Stab, Flash Cannon, and then Protect, just to keep this thing alive and Scout. We're gonna do a little bit of EVs. Weird EVs. We're gonna have max HP, defense lowering for attack, 100 for defense, 12 attack or nature boosted special attack, and 132 and 12. So yeah, I think that's what gets Equilibra to have the best stats that it possibly can have. And the last custom Pokemon we're going to use is normal Venomicon, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. We are also going to have it run boots with stamina, and we're going to have Roost, Hurricane for stab, and then we'll have Rocks and then Body Press because it has pretty decent defense as well. We're gonna max out that HP. We're gonna have an attack lowering and defense boosting nature once again, which is bold, and we'll have 156 in defense, and simply the rest will go in special defense. Alright, well that's it for the custom Pokemon. So the other 3 members are just gonna be really good OU standards. So of course Goldango will be making its way onto this team. The Easy Scarf Goldango, which will have it with its 2 stabs. You should know the drill by now. It'll have Trick. And this Goldango will be a nasty plot booster, which is truly ridiculous. And then another staple, so Chen Pao. And this one will be Boots Chen Pao with Ice Spinner, Sucker Punch for stab, Crunch to not rely on your opponent attacking, and Sword Stance for boost, and simple Jolly set. And then finally we have Tusk, because we always want to use Tusk in pretty much every format that we can. We're gonna go with an AV Tusk this time, and go with Hazard Control, Strong, Ground Stab, and Headlong Rush, Ice Spinner for coverage, and then Close Combat for stab as well. And then we'll go with not what is given, but a basic Jolly booster. Or not booster, sweeper. What we always call our 3 Tusks. And with these Pokemon, opposing Equilibras, when they don't have Levitate, are countered by our own Equilibra, and if so, they're still Argonaut. The Venomicon is beaten by opposing Equilibra, and Pyroark, which is a Grass and Fire type, goes about even with Equilibra. If not, we have Venomicon. Opposing Argonauts get destroyed by Venomicon as well. And Snailstrom, a water bug type, gets beaten by Venomicon. And then there's like Glamora, which also gets beaten by Equilibra. Opposing Goldango, which get beaten by Equilibra. And Chen Pao, which gets beaten by Equilibra. Just watch out that ice moves are neutral. And then opposing Tusks do not get beaten by Equilibra, but instead get beaten by Venomicon. So really these 2 are the biggest offensive threats on our team. And finally, we have Battle Stadium Singles Series 2. And I'd say that the best Pokemon to play in Battle Stadium Singles right now is Dragonite. Not Tree, Dragonite. Because this Pokemon is just super good in OU right now. So, not good enough to place on the team, but it's especially good in the 3v3 singles. So, Rocky Helmet, Roost, Dragon Dance, then Earthquake, then Encore to really mess with your opponents since there's a lot less Pokemon to deal with. We're gonna go with 244 in HP, 140 in speed, and then 124 with an attack boosting nature, and we don't really need special attack, so Adamant. Our next member, of course, is going to be Goldengo. Goldengo is one of those Pokemon where you run pretty much any chance you get. We're going to go with a Specs Goldengo this time, with the usual things: Shadow Ball, Make It Rain, Trick, and Recover. We're going to go with Recover this time. And I don't like this. I'm going to put that into HP instead. And next we're going to put in Garchomp. We don't have to run Dragonite and Garchomp in the same battle, which really helps. And we're going to go with a Banded Garchomp this time. We run Specs Garchomp before, but we're going to run Banded, which is a little bit more standard. Earthquake Outreach. We're going to go Terra Blast for that Terra Steel to destroy opposing fairies, and then Rock Tomb as well. We're going to go with... no, I disagree with this Eevee, so we're going to go with an Adamant. Not an Adamant, a Jolly. Because it still thinks that Terra Blast is a special move when it's actually not. No, I want my physical defense. We're gonna go with Meowscarada, with Scarf, and Protean. Overgrow is much better for doubles, which you will see in the next video. We're gonna go with Knockoff, Flower Trick for Stab, even though everything's Stab with the Protean. And then Low Kick and U-Turn. And then we're just gonna go with the basic Sweeper, but with Adamant. And then next we have Volcarona for the same reasons as why we're using it in the U. Very strong Sweeper. And we're gonna go with the Boots, Fiery Dance, Quiver Dance, as every Volcarona should run, and Bug Buzz, and once again Terra Blast for that Terra Steel, just extra power. We're gonna go with a max HP, max defense, and a little bit. Yeah, we'll boost that defense, and we don't need attack since we're Quiver Dance. And the final Pokemon we're gonna add is Hippowdon. Hippowdon is very fun to play with, and we're gonna have it be a Citrus since Item Clause is a thing in Battle Stadium singles. Earthquake for Stab, Rocks, Yawn, and Whirlwind, in case we want to mess with hazards or really just force switches as much as possible. Max HP, we're going to do an 108 nature boosted defense with minus special attacks, that's the Impish, and then we will put the rest in special defense. Alright, and then with this Battle Stadium singles team, opposing Hippowdons are destroyed by Meowscarada, opposing Goldengos are destroyed by Dragonite, Mimikyu loses to Goldengo, Breloom loses to Volcarona, Garchomp loses to really Terra Steel Garchomp, Meowscarada loses to Volcarona, Hydreigon loses to Garchomp, Azumarill loses to Meowscarada, and then Dragonite loses to Garchomp. And that is going to be it for the first Showdown video of February, and it's the first video in a long time. And I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.